Press circles were rocked on the dawn of March 28, 2026, by a high-stakes digital dispatch from the Women's Tennis Association's Nerve Center. Within a few ticks of the clock, the tennis world fractured over a seemingly mundane subject line about dress codes that masked a total firestorm. In a move rarely seen in modern professional sports, the governing body took the gloves off against one of its most powerful corporate partners. Their grievance wasn't about a technical rule break, but rather the blatant special treatment showered upon a single rising star. The brand in question was Nike, the star was Alex Eala, and the spark was a custom shirt adorned with the Philippines' floral emblem, the Sampaguita. It was a bespoke creation designed exclusively for the 20-year-old phenom's first appearance on the hard courts of Indian Wells. The association's pushback was blunt, accusing the apparel giant of undermining the fairness of uniform standards by crafting a unique kit for Eala alone. This favoritism stung particularly hard, given that elite champions, including world leader Aryna Sabalenka, still lacked their own personalized gear. The atmosphere in the players' lounge shifted instantly from professional focus to pure, unadulterated outrage. Trapped in the eye of this hurricane was a 20-year-old who had simply accepted a gift, thinking the whole situation was absolutely brilliant. Truly remarkable. It was a sight to behold. That pristine white top made its debut on Alex Ayala's shoulders during a warm-up session at Indian Wells. Initially, it mirrored the classic Nike aesthetic sleek lines and the famous checkmark that has symbolized the brand's minimalist philosophy for decades. But as the photographers leaned in closer, the true details emerged. Stitched delicately onto the collar was a tiny Sampaguita blossom, accompanied by Love and Alex penned in a graceful, flowing script. This wasn't off-the-rack merchandise. It was a handcrafted tribute, specifically for Ayala's grand entrance at the BNP Paribas Open. The apparel giant had actually gone the extra mile for her on previous occasions as well. Back at Wimbledon, they had gifted her a custom hair ribbon featuring that same national flower, yet a full match jersey changed the stakes entirely. A shirt wasn't just an accessory. It was a loud, unavoidable declaration of status. Nike certainly had a track record of tailoring gear for icons like Naomi Osaka, whose kit celebrated her diverse Japanese and Haitian roots. Serena had her own empire and Nadal fought under his personal bull emblem, yet observers couldn't help but notice who was being left out. Aryna Sabalenka had dominated the world rankings for 2 full years, yet she was still wearing the same standard kits as every other player. Over on the men's side, Carlos Alcaraz had been waiting 18 months for his promised logo, which remained nothing but a myth. When snapshots of the garment went viral, the locker room erupted, with some peers finding the homage to her heritage touching and culturally vital. To others, it stank of blatant corporate favoritism. A competitor without a major trophy or a spot in the Elite 20 who had actually slipped to 45th place was receiving the royal treatment reserved for legends. The governing body of women's tennis decided they had seen enough, and their mood was far from pleasant. She spoke of her simple ambition to foster the sport back home, accidentally drawing a massive global spotlight to the islands. Her peers noted her genuine modesty and her relentless grind on the practice courts. People gravitate toward her because she carries the spirit and the image of the entire Philippine nation. Personality aside, the formal rebuke from the association was measured in tone but razor-sharp in its underlying intent. The organization reiterated its dedication to ensuring a level playing field and uniform expectations for every professional on the circuit. The message stated they had identified a kit that seemed to mock the regulation regarding uniform branding across the roster. They were currently investigating the breach and would issue a definitive ruling in due time. No names were mentioned, yet the target was obvious. Every person in the industry understood exactly where the heat was being directed. There were strict mandates regarding on-court attire, designed to keep commercial footprints and logos within specific boundaries. While political slogans were strictly banned, a floral symbol occupied a murky legal zone, and the association was ready to draw a line in the sand. The timing of this clash was certainly no accident. Only days prior, news broke that special t-shirts featuring the flower and the swoosh were flying off the shelves across the Philippines. The young star had even showcased the apparel in a high-profile fashion shoot for Vogue Philippines recently. That exclusive match jersey was the final straw, forcing the WTA to act. However, Nike wasn't about to back down. Just hours after the association threw down the gauntlet, the sportswear giant issued a fiery defense of their creative choices. The company stated they were honored to highlight the rich cultural tapestries and origins of every athlete under their banner. That Sampaguita-themed top was a singular celebration of Ayala's personal evolution and her impact on Philippine athletics. They maintained that such tributes only serve to dignify the game and ignite passion in future generations of players. The corporate giant maintained its stance, pledging allegiance to tour regulations while insisting their support for individual stars remained unwavering. Yet, the fracture had already formed, leaving the inner sanctum of the pro circuit completely polarized. A lingering mystery remained. Was the young star truly at fault, or was she simply being penalized for her meteoric rise into the spotlight? Alexandra's fairy tale run showed no signs of stopping as she notched a third consecutive victory over a former major title holder. This latest conquest was her most impressive yet, dismantling the world's second-ranked player and five-time Grand Slam icon. Behind closed doors, the atmosphere within the female players' quarters had reached a boiling point. Former allies now struggled with a mix of genuine awe at her skill and simmering resentment toward a system that seemed to revolve around her. The cold, hard statistics only served to fan the flames of their collective bitterness. Aryna Sabalenka, who had dominated the rankings for 2 straight years, had never once been granted a personalized outfit by the brand. Even the male world leader, Carlos Alcaraz, had spent over 18 months in limbo waiting for his promised signature branding. High-profile names like Emma Raducanu had already jumped ship to other sponsors, joining a growing list of defectors that included Jack Draper and Taylor Fritz. In stark contrast, a 45th-ranked player with 0 major trophies was being showered with bespoke gear that vanished from shelves instantly back home. One elite competitor, requesting her identity be kept secret, offered a blunt assessment of the situation. Essentially, she questioned why a champion could stay at the top and wear generic clothes, while someone who hadn't reached a quarterfinal received a kit honoring her heritage. Is that justice? However, a different camp viewed the entire drama through a much wider lens. They argued that her impact stretched far beyond mere rankings, representing a nation that had never seen one of its own reach such heights. Legions of supporters trailed her across the globe, transforming every match into a vibrant celebration of national pride. Her apparel sales eclipsed those of the entire field combined, a phenomenon that even Coco Gauff had to acknowledge. The young star's following was so massive, it effectively elevated her to the top of the social hierarchy. Jessica Pegula, who felt the full force of that fan support during their semi-final clash, offered a more balanced perspective. She noted that while the brand's tribute to representation was admirable, it was easy to see why seasoned pros felt slighted by the favoritism. Personalized perks should ideally be the reward for on-court merit. Yet she still appreciated how the newcomer brought a fresh audience to the game. It is a development she truly values and respects. Playing against a wall of partisan noise can be grueling, but she admitted it was exactly what the sport needed to grow. She encouraged the fans to maintain their passion and keep shouting for their hometown hero. For the apparel giant, this wasn't some soft-hearted gesture. It was a cold, calculated move backed by undeniable revenue data. During her 2025 London debut, they gave her a unique hairpiece adorned with her country's symbolic white flower. This specific accessory was meant to be a singular tribute, never intended for the public to purchase. But as the public clamored for a piece of the action, the company had to admit it was a one-of-a-kind creation just for her. The signal was loud. The brand prioritized the player's unique identity over a quick profit from mass production. The gambit paid off handsomely. When they eventually launched branded shirts featuring that same floral motif, they were wiped from the shelves across the entire archipelago. By February of 2026, she was walking the halls of the Oregon headquarters, seeing her own image among the world's greatest athletes. One caption boldly declared that history was finally blossoming in its most beautiful form. It was obvious that the corporation saw her as a vital key to unlocking the massive potential of the Asian market. With over 115 million people and a vast global community watching, the brand wanted to be synonymous with their sporting pride. The controversial personalized uniform represented the latest evolution of this grand marketing blueprint. It served as a direct communication to an entire nation, a statement that the company acknowledged their worth and was fully committed to their rising star. The true payoff would be lifelong brand devotion, making the governing body's legal gripes seem like a minor headache. From a corporate standpoint, the logic was flawless. She was a treasure worth every bit of the controversy. Amidst the storm of headlines, the young athlete kept her eyes locked firmly on the baseline. Her run in the desert ended in the 4th round against Karolina Muchova, continuing a frustrating winless streak against players from the Czech Republic. Even after a loss, the cameras wouldn't leave her alone. but she handled the questions about her clothing with her usual poise. She expressed deep pride in the fact that Nike chose to craft a unique tribute celebrating her ancestral roots. Carrying the Sagitita emblem onto the court represents a profound moment of cultural honor for her entire nation. Her dream is to spark ambition in young Philippine athletes, while she steered all queries about official sanctions to her representatives. Her focus remains purely on the game, delegating complex corporate maneuvers to the professionals in her inner circle. Deep within the organization, officials started scrutinizing their existing apparel guidelines with newfound intensity. Official communiques hinted at forthcoming clarity, though insiders whispered that a total regulatory overhaul was likely imminent. This standoff ignited vital debates regarding the underlying ethics of high-stakes sports sponsorship deals. Is culture a valid reason for bespoke branding? Or must every athlete adhere to a uniform standard of appearance? Whatever the association decides will inevitably carve the path for the game's next evolution. For the brand, it tests the limits of creative freedom, while for Eala, it proves her reach transcends the boundaries of the court. That haunting European hex persisted, causing her standing to plummet from 29 to 45 following the Miami tournament. Although the path forward seemed treacherous and foggy, she possessed an intangible strength that defied simple numerical values. She realized she had transformed into a powerful emblem representing more than just one individual player. That custom kit wasn't merely fabric and thread, it was a formal validation of her unique identity and heritage. Despite official hesitation, this wave of cultural recognition was already reshaping the very essence of the sport. The association lashed out at the apparel giant over Eala's bespoke gear, revealing a massive systemic rift within the women's circuit. The kit bearing the Sagitita emblem, the iconic flower of the Philippines, celebrated the 20-year-old's major debut, though critics noticed that reigning #1 Aryna Sabalenka and other elites haven't seen such customized Nike gear. While diplomatically phrased, the official rebuke was sharp, charging the manufacturer with undermining the core principles of uniform brand consistency. The footwear titan stood its ground, framing the move as a vital homage to her ancestry and local impact. This massive controversy has deeply split the player locker room. Certain competitors view the unique gear as blatant bias toward an athlete lacking a major title victory. Others champion Eala's cultural weight and the massive international audience she attracts. Meanwhile, the fierce debate over uniform protocols rages on as the clay season commences. One truth remains undeniable. Eala has reached such a level of fame that the organization is willing to confront its primary financial backers over her. This confrontation defines her true legacy. Was the organization right to publicly challenge the brand over her custom attire? Post your opinions in the comment section below. Subscribe to Rally Radar today for consistent news, tactical breakdowns, and deep storytelling that goes far beyond the final score, because here, every day is a battle.